Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to another episode of a No Frills video. If you have not done so yet, I strongly recommend that you go back to the stockpile chat of today's upload. I zoom in specifically talking about protein. Now, this is a no frills video. What does that mean? It is longer than 1 minute, but it is definitely less than 5 minutes. So I don't have too much time to talk about this. But I do want to mention too, let's touch upon our frozen stockpile. Many, many times people forget that their freezer is another aspect of stockpiling. I'm not only talking about people that have that standalone freezer, those deep freezers. I'm talking about even the folks, regular refrigerators, apartment size, and you have that like little freezer on the top and fridge on the bottom. That would be, for example, Jan from New York City saves money. That's my freezer. But let's talk a minute about the things you put in there. Now, I am a firm believer of making sure that I am at least every so often the manufacturer, the CEO of my own kitchen. Well, I'm always the CEO of my own kitchen, but I make it a point sometimes to make individual frozen meals. I find that that is so helpful. And the easiest ways to do that are to use certain foods that are number one, easily accessible. Okay. So, like, for example, pasta, or for example, some other filler and the other filler that you enjoy. Some people do it with rice, whatever. That's like a bulk food. Okay. Now, what I like to do is I like to make, for example, I was spending at one time much more than I should have on frozen pasta entrees. Now, I'm not saying that they weren't delicious. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, they were. But when I was starting to pay $4, close to $4 for a single serve entree, I started scratching my head. I said, wait a minute. I could get pasta itself for like $1 something, okay? And I could literally, because according to the box, I get 8 servings. And actually, that box is true. And how do I measure it? Okay, all you do is get, like those little containers, the kind that the deli meat comes in. Well, I collect those and they freeze very well. Just saying, just saying. So every couple of weeks, all I do is boil up that one box of pasta and I yield 8 entrees. And you could add whatever you want to it. My favorite thing, for example, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I'd rather have a non-meat tomato sauce, like let's say tomato and basil sauce. And sometimes I do want some meat in my sauce. Okay. So let's say I have a meat sauce that's already prepared in a can, or if I have my own prepared that, let's say the previous day or so I made meatballs, I will cut those meatballs up. By the way, this is a good trick when you're making the entrees. Cut your meatballs up into smaller pieces and add it to your favorite sauce. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or sometimes I want, let's say, a macaroni and cheese, my own version. So I'll make up my own homemade macaroni and cheese. I'll divvy that up into 8 entrees, 8 single serve entrees. These come in really, really handy. They come in handy for your kids. Let's say your kid wants something, but everybody else wants something else and they don't like what you're serving. They have the option of heating up one of the pasta entrees. I'm just using that as an example. So never overlook or underlook the value of, quote, end of quote, manufacturing your own food, if you will, on the cheap and adding it to your frozen stockpile. You don't have to have a lot of room. You just have to have maybe an hour time figuring out what you're doing, just going over to your pantry or your stockpile and pulling out a box of pasta like that. I like the smaller pastas. You could do a lot of things with it. These are just helpful hints. Don't overlook or underlook the value of your frozen stockpile and your ability to put together pasta entrees and freeze them on the cheap. Have an amazing day, everybody. Take good care. Bye bye.